Alonzo Thinks is a free-flowing discussion where I talk about everything from music, sports, religion, politics, pop culture, you name it. If it's happening, I've got an opinion on it. All right, today I have a special guest with me, Jake Wade. What's up, man? All right, well, I appreciate you taking time out to visit with me today, and we have a very what's the word I'm looking for here? Incendiary. I think that's a good term for it. Topic today: incendiary.
Yes, that's right.
We're going to
That's what I
discuss. We're going to discuss the greatest hip hop artists of all time. And we're gonna break it down to a top five because I know whenever you're talking about lists and everything, you can go top five, top 10, top 20, and whatever. You got to stop somewhere. So we're gonna do it as a top five, and we're gonna just kind of discuss who we think the greatest hip hop artist of all time is. Now, I think we should quantify our conversation by stating that or at least I will quantify the conversation by stating my position that I'm only going to consider the past of hip hop and not the present. And that's not because I'm an old dude in my get off my lawn mode. It's just that I personally feel that hip hop in its current state is no longer hip hop. It's commercial. It's rap, and there are very few artists out there who are dedicated to preserving the legacy of hip hop and the sanctity of b-boyism, lyricism, and the importance of maintaining the sanctity of hip hop. Do you agree?
Well, I can agree. I mean, so hip hop is still alive and well right now. Like, it's not what's popular. It's not what you're going to hear people blasting out of their cars, but it's still there. Like, there are a lot of guys who are really still killing it, but age is long over, and it's never going to be what it used to be. So we can be in, old man mode and talk about, the old heads, I guess, the older guys, as I call them. So, yeah, we can agree to some extent.
Now you make a good point, and I mean everything evolves. You can't stay the same because if we don't evolve, you don't grow. And that can be you can juxtapose that against all aspects of life. So I do agree that hip hop music is not going to be what it was back in the '80s or '90s, and that to want today's artists to to be more respectful of their past is kind of idiotic because they're trying to be innovators. They're trying to carve their own path, just like the hip hop artists in the '80s and '90s were trying to carve their own path back when people said that hip hop wasn't music. And obviously back in the '50s and '60s with rock and roll, folks were like, well, that's not music, that's junk. So I understand that portion of the argument, and it's a valid argument, and I can't really discredit it. But at the same time, there when you compile a list of the best ever, it's kind of hard to say that. Say for example, Kendrick Lamar is the best hip hop artist ever when his career is not complete.
Absolutely.
So we can respect those artists and give them props, maybe an honorable mention, but that circle is not unbroken yet.
Hmm. That's right. And I'm glad you mentioned like Kendrick Lamar because I consider him to be probably the best of the newer ones. Like, and it's still alive and well with him, and he's leading like. You have others who are about his age and still they're doing it, but they're not where they need to be. Of course, they don't compare. Like Kendrick Lamar does not compare to. People want to compare him to like Tupac, and I want to before we actually get into the conversation, I'll say Tupac is not going to be on my list, and I'm actually not because he wasn't great, but because from the typical people that people usually talk about when they have on these lists is because generally they're not on my list, but there won't be be Tupac and it won't be Biggie on my list. I'll just quantify that there. Anyway, yeah, Kendrick and a lot of the younger guys who are clearly inspired by, the real MCs, the older guys, their way. But I'm very surprised. I'm still surprised he's in mainstream uh, because what we know and love as hip hop is really not there. It's not the thing that's popular right now. Kind of sad, but that's what it is.
True. So I guess maybe we should go ahead and start the conversation off by mentioning or doing those honorable mentions based on who is who's prevalent in the industry right now. And of course, we've already kind of discussed Kendrick Lamar. Of course, there's Chance the Rapper. You got J. Cole, um, and some other cats out there. Besides Kendrick, who else kind of measures up to you right now?
I would say like Earl Sweatshirt. He is from the Odd Future crew. They kind of broke up, I think, but um, Earl Sweatshirt. He's pretty good, but I would say Joey Badass. He's really somebody who's trying to keep it like right in the '90s. There, he has like the boom bap beats. He's got videos look like they were made in 1993. He's um, and here's some people who are not really that young, but you would say that they're they're about my age, but they're not the older ones, and they're kind of the new school, I guess. Sandman, don't know if you know him, but he is one of the most interesting MCs I've heard in the past 10 years. Very, very lyrical. I would say that he does not do like choruses very well, and my issue with him as far as beats, he doesn't. I don't know, and beats are questionable, but he flows. He is one of the most dynamic MCs I've heard in a long time. So, Homeboy Sandman, people have to check him out. Then we have like Danny Brown. Um, he's really weird. He's got this whole psychedelic and kind of drug influenced style. And a lot of his topics are kind of mind bending, and he talks a lot about drugs. So he's kind of out there in the say the I'll just say psychedelic. And he's on something another level, but he flows hard. So Danny Brown. Um, since I've been put on the spot a bit, I'll stop there. But there is a new school, and they are still heat like we did in the '90s.
Okay, yeah, I agree. And some of the artists that you mentioned, I'm not real familiar with, but at the same time, I try to listen to as much new stuff as I can. And I guess I'm kind of because I have two young kids, of course, and my daughter really loves music. So when we're in the car together, she's always playing stuff on her playlist. I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? And a lot of the stuff that she listens to and that she likes, I don't really care for because she's really into the mumble rap. So, what are your thoughts on mumble? Because I despise it.
Mumble rap. So mumble rap is not rap. I don't know what you call it. I mean, it is something, and I'll have to give some props to like in general. Trap music is actually kind of good. It is actually it's something that I can listen to if I don't care about what the person is saying. Mainly because I don't know what they're saying. You know, the thing about mumble thing is they're not saying anything. Like the topics are always traffic. We got girls, we got money. Uh, you know, you could argue that that's what they were doing back in the day. It's kind of a new twist on it, but it's like dumbed down to the max now because nobody's trying to slow. It's not, there is no bars. So where are the bars here? I don't really hear it. I hear a few words. You stop. A few words, you stop. A few words, you stop. And most of that you can't even understand. So mumble rap, I don't really get the allure of it. But I tell you, like trap beats are pretty fantastic. So that's why I can say I can listen to it sometimes because producers out there, trap music is really driven by producers, in my opinion. It's not the performer. You know, the performer is getting the, the props, I guess, but a lot of it's driven by beats. And that's what people, or I think that's where they are. That's what they want. I don't really care what this person is saying. It gets me hyped. It's lit, as they say, you know. Um, Music gets you in that kind of mode of, yeah, I don't really care. I'm lit. So why that stuff is popular. But being a person who's into lyrics and actual style, metaphors, you're not getting that out of trap and mumble. You know, it's not something I can say I'm a fan of.
Well, you won't get an argument from me there because I'm not a fan of it at all. To me, it all sounds the same. I can't tell one mumble artist from the next. I just simply can't. And like when Mackenzie puts her music on, I'm like, well, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And I'm like, it all sounds the same. And it's monotone to me. There's no inflection in the voices. There's no emphasis on lyricism. It's just okay. If
I
that's
agree. I agree. That
if that's what you like, go with God. Because I know back when I was back in the day, listening to hip hop, growing up and everything, and folks look at me like, what the hell are you listening to? Well, is what I like. You don't like it, lump it. So I gotta lump it like everybody else. That's the I guess that's the tragedy of growing old, man. Is that you like what you like, and you refuse to evolve when it comes to what you like. So
right. You know what? I recently realized that although so I'm 36 years old, and I think that's kind of weird that I'm 36 because I don't feel like it, but I'm 36, and to me that's still young. And recently realized I'm in my old man phase. Like I'm the whole back in my day, I'm in that kind of mode because what people are into these days, as far as music goes, I never thought I'd be that kind of person who just kind of is in the 90s or whatever. But I kind of am, mainly when it comes to hip hop because um, you're right. It does kind of all sound the same, and I don't quite understand the allure, other than it makes you feel a certain way. At least the beats do, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm in this old man get off my lawn type mode because when I hear like Migos stuff like that, I'm like, no, let me put on some more tank. So it's me that I have finally grown old, and to each his own, as they say. But I pride myself in being a person who is into all types of music, and I'm always trying to find new stuff. Hip hop is kind of it is kind of a thing where I can't find a whole lot that's helping me continue with it. Other types of music, yeah, I'll grow. Hip hop is not evolving as much as it should, in my opinion, as far as being what it used to be. The evolution from the 80s into the 90s, into the 2000s, where it was actually growing, and now it's kind of devolved. So, being an old man, I want to devolve myself and go back to where it was evolving.
now I think, um, I mean, this is a microcosm of society, but hip hop music today is all about. It's not about the music. It's about building a brand, about commercialism, about about being popular and being famous. Whereas on that list, music is probably the actual artistry of the music is it near the bottom of the list when all this other stuff comes first. When you're dealing with record labels and things of that nature, you want to get YouTube hits. You want to build your brand. You want your music to be more of a fad than something that's everlasting. Because a good example of that is you got these artists, they come out and they create a dance, and they build the song around a dance. And that's what everybody
Mm-hmm.
kind of links on to, and it gets 10 million YouTube hits and they become a star overnight. But that artist is not an artist, and they as fast as they come, they gone. They have that one big hit.
Right.
Everybody does that dance for for 6 months that everybody's doing. Then the song is old. It's on to the next one. It's on to the next one. Because I guarantee you, the guys who did Juju on that beat, you'll never hear from them again. And if you do, it won't be
I don't
nowhere
even know who they
near.
are.
I'm sorry.
I don't even know who they are, to be honest.
Exactly. That's the point. You know, drop that dun 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 or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, who did hit the Quan? Who was that artist? What was it?
I, I cannot tell you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the point. Is that these artists come out, have a hit song, everybody does that dance. You'll see young people doing it, old white folks doing it, everybody does this dance. You remember Superman at home or whatever?
Yeah.
Where's he at
You know
now?
what?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about him. I
Uh-huh.
don't know where he is, and I don't really care. But I will say this: I remember that he came out with that crap, and everybody was doing it. Like we would go to the parties, you would DJ, and all the kids, all the white kids, all the I hate saying the white kids, but the kids and the parents, they want to get out there on the floor and they want to do that dance, and that was what was done. And that dude actually had the nerve to like you know go after Ice T. So Ice T is one of the best of all time. And this dude actually wanted to diss Ice T. Why? What? I don't understand like the logic of somebody who cannot rap, has no longevity. Even though he had just started out, we knew he wasn't going to be around. 10 years later, I'm going to go after this guy who is one of the pioneers of this, and I'm going to say some lame crap like, "You were born before the internet." All right, that is wow. You destroyed his career by saying that. I don't. Where is Soldier Boy? And I'm kind of glad because you know.
I think everybody knew Soldier Boy was not going to last, and I mean, there's a list as long as my arm of guys just like Soldier Boy who came along, made some money, and disappeared off the map. But Soldier Boy had one or two other songs that were, I guess, minor hits or whatever, but nothing ever came close to replicating the success of that Superman song or whatever. And yeah, he had the nerve to call out Ice T, and I think Ice T took some flack because he actually responded back. So,
Yeah.
but obviously that kid had no sense of history, and if you don't know your history, then your future is going to be pretty bleak, and that's why he is where he is now. I'm sure he made his money, hoping to spend it all, but we're never going to hear from that guy again. He's going to be a one hit wonder. Footnote: you'll see him on a list on YouTube someday. Whatever happened to this guy? Whatever you might read about him in the paper one day. Getting his house repossessed or something, or arrested for having sex with a minor or something. You never know. Um,
Yeah, yeah. And you just mentioned about history though, and that is a good place to go there. Um, like some of these new guys, I don't recall who. I've heard some of these new guys say that they don't care about history. Our new styles is what we're doing now. We don't care about what they used to do. Nobody wants to hear that stuff anymore. Nobody cares about off of that. That we're here to make all new things in a way that's admirable. Get backing off of these guys. Like there is no future. There's no present actually for a young rapper without the ones who did it in the past. So I don't really understand the whole logic behind these young guys saying I don't care about what they did in the '90s. I don't care about what they did in the '80s. I'm not a fan of those guys. I don't talk to me about them. I don't understand that. Only able to do what you're doing because of them.
yeah, but I guess they don't respect it, man, because society doesn't respect it. I mean, like I said before, it's all about money. It's all about fame. It's all about brand. It's all about It's all about everything but the music, which I know nobody does anything for free. The artists who did it back in, the 70s, 80s, they got paid or wanted to get paid like everybody else did. So I'm not going to hold them up as bastions of all that's right in the, all that was right in the world because everybody got to eat. So I understand that. But it's got to be a fine line that you draw between commerce and artistry and creativity. And I think that's where we lose sight of things, man. Because once again, it's all about having that big house, 10 cars, having a Bugatti or a Bentley, and and a house full of butt naked hoes, and that's what draws people in. That's what what we see as, I guess, the youth see as the path to success in music. Is not about being the best hip hop artist ever. It's about latching on to something that is going to establish a brand for you. Because I read this last night, man. The Cash Me Outside girl just signed a record deal with Atlantic Records. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This girl has become famous for being disrespectful to her parents. Now, what? So, what's going to stop my daughter from telling me, Dad, go fuck yourself? I'm going to go with Jerry Springer or whatever and come up with some catchphrase and become rich and famous. Because this Cash Me Outside girl has made millions now from that one appearance on that show. And I've never heard her. I saw her on that show. That's it. I've never heard her say anything past that point. I don't know if she can sing, rap, fuck. I don't know what she can do. You know what I mean? You know,
well, I can tell you. I don't mean to cut you off, but I can tell you. I listened to. I happened to hear a snippet of her rapping, and it's not rapping, and it's not even mumble. I don't know what that is. It's really a sad moment in our lives right now.
But she's not, obviously she's not gonna last, and she'll be on some reality TV show. She'll be a reality star for the next 5-6 years, and then she'll disappear. But in the meantime, man, what is that doing? What kind of message is that sending to our society as a whole? Not just to the hip hop world, but just to our society as a whole, man. Is that it's not about talent. It's about do something outrageous enough to catch people's attention to where they're gonna click on it and give you 1,000 hits or 1,000,000 hits on YouTube, and that's the path to becoming a star. So there's no limit. You do whatever it takes. Be as crazy and stupid as you can to get people to click on it and and give you hits on your video, and you will become a star overnight. I mean, once again, another good example of it is Gangnam Style. I mean, one of the most watched YouTube videos of all time, and obviously that made, obviously he was an established artist before in Korea or whatever, that made him an international superstar. So when you see that, that's not going to stop anybody from trying to latch on and catch the consciousness of the world to make a quick buck and set themselves up for life, presumably. But no shade on that. Make your money however you can. Because I'm telling you now, somebody offered me, a recording contract at Atlantic Records. I'm taking it too. So.
You know what? For years now, I've been saying, you know what I should do? I should just make like the most ridiculous, most insane like rap song ever. Just try to do like some kind of thing that people are gonna like, wow, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe he did that. And get famous off of it, and then make off of that to make some real music. That's what I've been saying I should do for years. I might actually do it.
Yeah, you can, and really, you can be young, old, it don't matter. I mean, you do something stupid enough, where it's gonna catch somebody's ear. That's all it really takes. So why not?
That's the nature of social media.
Yeah, why not? If that's gonna make you rich and famous and pay your bills, for the rest of your life, go with God. Hell, I would do it too. So I'm not above trying to make a buck. So I know we're kind of straying off topic. So let's try to get back on track. And now we're going to talk about our top 5. And I tell you what we can do is we can kind of alternate You give me yours, I give you mine, and we'll kind of just bounce it back and forth that way. What do you think?
Sure, but I'll say this. So I'm not very good at making like top fives or top tens because there's so many people who are just amazing to me that I have like a cloud of people and they're not numbered or anything. And I might mention more than five, but we'll give it a try.
Okay, well, you go ahead and start. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I didn't expect to start. We'll do that. All right, so Ice Cube has always been Ice Cube is maybe the one who made me realize how much I love rap, hip hop, whatever you want to call it. Because when I was a kid, at the time when I first heard Ice Cube, I can't even guess now. I want to say like 10. I'd never heard anything like it. He was saying, I didn't understand, the Watts rise. I didn't Compton rise. I didn't understand like what was happening in California. I didn't understand like where he was coming from. There was just like a fire in him that made me like I want to keep going with him. And not to mention he's always been lyrical. Like if you break down the things that he says, um, like if you did not understand where he was coming from, you listen to him and you are going to understand him. You're going to feel like, hey man, I'm right there with you. Ice Cube is just, I say what you want about what he's doing now with his movies and things like that. You know, it's, he has a legacy that I don't think anybody can ever like match. Is he my number one? I don't know. But Ice Cube is really the one that I look to being the one who started my love of hip hop. And back to Death Certificate, the first album I actually really got into from him. That is a masterpiece from top to bottom. Uh, if you look at a track like Us is amazing. It is a track that goes like the problems that are plaguing the black community. There's still a problem in the black community. I beat my wife and children to a pulp when I get drunk and smoke dope. When you go outside, you see that now. You go into like the ghetto or whatever, and that's what you're going to be seeing. It's like nobody is really advancing in the way that they should. And really, he was trying to bring light to say, hey, we do have this problem. Let's find a way to get out of this and make things better for ourselves. Let's go ahead and give money to our community. Let's have our own industries. He was just instrumental in I know we should be talking about like style, but I mean, just in general, just the influence that he had on me as a person, and what the music actually is, and that's why he's so important to me. Again, he was extremely lyrical. He had, he's been in so many different crews that have had a major impact on music, and he's the first for me, and he's always going to be, just that kind of beacon. So yeah, Ice Cube at the top for me. Maybe not number one. Like I said, I don't have a number list, but he's up there.
Okay, and I can definitely echo a lot of those sentiments. Now, I guess I can speak on Ice Cube from a different perspective because obviously you're a little bit younger than me. So when Ice Cube first came on the scene back in 87, 88, I was 19, 20 years old. So I remember the first time I heard NWA, a friend of mine, Rob Brown. Shout out to Rob Brown if you're out there listening. What's up, Rob? Um, he gave me a tape. He was like, "Man, you gotta listen to this, man." And it was NWA, and I think the first song he played for me was "Boys in the Hood." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, cool." I mean, it was all right. Obviously, you know. But then I listened to the rest of the the stuff he gave me, man, and obviously, um, you know, the the lyricism of Ice Cube is what obviously he was the best lyricist of the crew, and so his stuff really stood out. So you instantly I instantly gravitated towards what Ice Cube was saying, and I agree. I mean, he and I'm speaking strictly from hip hop and not so much cultural. Is is West Coast rap was still in its infancy at the time, but he was the first of the hip hop artists out of L.A. to to me have a right to say, I'm a lyricist, that I can measure up to what's coming out of New York, what's coming out of the East Coast. So I can agree from that standpoint of him being in your top five, that he was probably the first true lyricist to come out of L.A. Now,
Yep. You said a lot of what I want to say. There you go.
okay, now look at my list here, and my list is in no particular order. I do have a number one. I'll say my number one for last. I think you know who I'm talking about. But for me,
Yeah.
all right, for me, LL Cool J, and I will stand by my assertion that LL Cool J is the greatest battle rapper of all time. If the world was coming to an end and there had to be a battle between an alien and a human, a rap battle to save humanity, you had to pick one rapper, I would pick LL Cool J to battle rhyme.
Yeah.
Um, and I've said this before, but I think when LL puts his mind to it and say, "Hey, I'm gonna go get somebody," he can go get them. I think LL today, old LL, NCIS, or LL, if he was motivated and somebody came at him, he'd take him out. I mean, I'm talking about new rapper or whomever. Anybody you know, try to approach the king. You better not miss. As Omar said in The Wire, you come after the king, you better not miss. LL's that guy. And to this day, I feel that Jack the Ripper is the best comeback battle rap ever. Because he slayed what Kumo D in that. Um, and so LL was probably one of the first East Coast rappers, especially when he first came out, to really make us focus on lyricism. Yeah, he could party and everything. He had the party jams and everything, but he also brought lyricism with him. So I remember way back in, good lord, when did LL first come out? Like 84, 85, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Yeah, like 84.
My cousin Johnny Anderson, from New York, Syracuse, Uncle Jabbo. They came down for a visit,
Yeah.
and Johnny spent the night with me. And one morning, we woke up and we started listening to music. And he pulled out a tape, and on this tape was Schoolie D, looking at my Gucci, and LL Cool J, the original version of Rock the Bells, not the album cut, the original 12-inch of Rock the Bells with the cowbell.
Wow.
And and Johnny knew this song backwards and forwards. So he got up and performed the song for me along to the tape, and blew me away. First of all, he did Schoolie D, what I thought was great. I love looking at my Gucci. But then he followed it up
Uh-huh.
with, he said, "You gotta hear this song, gotta hear this song." And he put on the original version of Rock the Bells, man. And to this day, man, I think lyrically, that's the best I've ever heard. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. But the stuff that he was talking about on that record, man, and it's just him and that cowbell and a backbeat. And that's it. No hook, nothing. Just straight rhyming, lyricism. I'm like, damn, LL gonna be somebody. And of course, you know what he became. So that's my long-winded assertion that that when it comes to battle rhyming, can't nobody touch not today, not tomorrow, not ever. In my opinion. What you think?
Well, first off, I didn't know Uncle liked that. Wow, that's a side of him I did not know. So
No,
yeah,
no, 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 no,
I
no,
got
no, no, no,
applause
no.
there.
No, it wasn't Jabbo. It was his son, Johnny,
Oh,
little
okay, I got
Johnny.
you. I got you. Got
Me
you.
and little Johnny, we the
All
same
right.
age. You know, it wasn't Jabbo. Come on, man.
Okay, I'm just like, oh, you said his name. I'm like, oh, is that what you talking about?
No, no, it's Johnny.
Okay, got you.
I guess
All right.
because little Johnny, they call him little Johnny because he's Johnny Junior. So,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
all
okay.
right, we'll make
Yeah,
that
yeah,
clear.
but
All
I'm
right,
like, that's what you talking about?
yeah, no, little Johnny, little Johnny. All
All right.
right, okay.
Got you. All right. So I'm gonna have to agree with you completely by LL. So he's somebody that I would put on a list for rapping. Um, is he a great MC? Absolutely. I think his output as an artist is really spotty. So I would not put him up based on album and singles and things like that. But battle rapping, absolutely, there's nobody can touch him. There's nobody who can ever touch him. People want to talk about Eminem. Eminem's a good battle rapper, but he's like evil, you know. but Eminem, if Eminem battled LL, I don't think he would win because you're right. Anybody who's honed that craft like LL has, if you look back to '98 when he did Ripper's Back versus Cannabis, he showed that he was still doing it. And where is Cannabis now after that? So, yeah. When the aliens come down to take us out, and they're like, I want to take ownership of this planet, and the only way you'll win it is if after we're going to be in safe hands with LL. Because you're right. Right now, the guy on NCIS can still do it. I know it. And I hope one day we get that opportunity to see it. I do not disagree about LL.
And just to kind of wrap that, put a bow on that conversation. Um, I agree. LL's record is spotty. It's spotty as hell because he got some whack stuff out there as well. But like I said, that's why I had to quantify it by saying when LL is motivated, he has something to focus on. You can't touch him. But that's the hard part is keeping him focused because he's so rich and famous and got everything else going for him, man. Because sometimes your fame, I think he's a rapper where his fame kind of overrode his brilliance because he
Yeah,
became, his brand became bigger than him. So when you ain't hungry no more, it's hard to keep that hunger when you ain't hungry. You know.
absolutely.
So that's why I made a point to say when LL is motivated, can't nobody touch him. The hard part is getting his ass motivated. So, anyways, all right, who's next on your list?
Yeah. So, one thing I did not want to do on my list here is inundate us with Wu Tang, because if you know me, Wu Tang is my favorite crew of all time. And somebody once asked me, "An MC better than Lil Wayne?" And I said, "Yeah, I can name Lil Wayne. In fact, I can name 9 of them. They're all in Wu Tang." Uh, so
Good
uh,
answer.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say right now, Jizza. Jizza is my favorite MC in the clan because that guy is the storyteller. Let's talk about like Slick Rick. Slick Rick is known as the storyteller. Can't move Jizza. Jizza is he's kind of transcended hip hop. He can go from street to scientific in like one sentence. Um, he's always had the slower, more sophisticated style out of everybody else in the clan. And, some people don't really think about him like that. But really, if you delve into his discography, if you listen to what he actually says all the time, he is a scientist. He really is methodical with his rhymes, with his metaphors, with, he does whole tracks center around a central idea. One he has called Animal Planet. All the characters in this track are animals, and he equates them to animals like in the jungle or the African desert or whatever, and they're animals, but these also people like people on the street, people in the hood, people with guns, people doing business deals, and if you're not really paying that much attention, you're like, why is this dude talking about animals? He's saying, and he's like, wow, this is some real next level stuff. He does it all the time. He does it with cars. He does it with was it magazines? He did magazines for. That's just like a few examples of what he does, but really to a new level for me. He doesn't have a large discography, and I know you probably want to mention his first album, his very first album, Words from the Genius. Uh, you know, beginning, but where he went to was really, really like out of this world. In fact, he actually, is Neil deGrasse Tyson. They talk about science, they talk about space, and that's really what Jizza went to with his style. He went from grimy street level on up to just something else that can't even comprehend. Just his words, his metaphors, his delivery. He's so effective, so slick, smooth. To me, there's not really a whole lot of MCs that come close to him at all. And album of him just basically telling me, let me tell you a little story. He could have a whole album of him just telling stories, and it would be 10 times better than half the MCs you've heard in your life. Jizza, for me, yeah.
Okay, I can definitely agree with 99.9% of what you said, and I totally agree that Jizza is definitely one of the dopest MCs alive. I still listen to Liquid Swords to this day. I still listen to Beneath the Surface. I think Beneath the Surface was a great underrated album. Um,
Fantastic.
but there are three words that I can't get over. And three words are right.
Come do me.
Come do me. I'm sorry, man. He can't live it down, man. He can't.
Well, that's questionable. If you really remember, then maybe you can't get over it. Quite honestly, I didn't hear "Come Do Me" until much later, but so his story doesn't start there for me. But I can understand why you fixated on that. But again, humble beginnings.
Okay, now I think I've told this story before, right? But I'm gonna tell it again just in case
Right.
you haven't heard it. I'll tell it for everybody who might be listening to this podcast. Okay, all right. I bought this was back when Jizza was the genius. Okay, so
Yeah.
that first album, Word for the Genius. I'm in San Antonio, Texas, with a friend of mine, Tim Jones. Tim, shout out to Tim Jones. Um, we're at the record store. You remember record stores, right? We're at the record
Absolutely.
store. We're at our Sound Warehouse in San Antonio, Texas, going through hip hop. We do it on a regular basis. So I find the Geniuses CD. Never heard of them before. I'm looking at the CD and everything, and that's back during the Father MC era, okay? And he looked like Father MC to me on the cover. I'm like, wait a minute,
Mm.
but it's Genius. Words from the Genius. And I was intrigued enough, and it was back at Sound Warehouse, you couldn't listen to it before you bought it. So I said, I'm gonna take a flyer on this guy, and I'm gonna buy his album and take a look at it and see what's going on. And I think the first song on the album is "Come Do Me." So, anyways, we hop in the car and we're driving home, and I pop it in. Say, I gotta listen to this. I gotta listen to it. So I pop it in, right? And "Come Do Me" comes on, man, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? And me and Tim, we're like, wasn't that? Oh, this is whack. This is You know what? I didn't bother to listen to anything else on that album after "Come Do Me." So we got back to my house, right? No lie, we got back to my house. I pulled the CD out, put it back in the case, put it on the pavement, and had told Tim to drive over it.
What?
So what?
What?
Yeah,
But it wasn't that bad. It couldn't have been that bad.
dude, dude. I was like, there ain't no way I'm gonna have this in my collection. I don't ever want to see or hear this record again. So yeah, I put it in the case, man. Threw it on the pavement and said, "Drive over it." He got his car, man. He drove over it.
Okay, so that's a little extreme because you didn't listen to the whole album. You know,
Dude, when a song is that bad and it's the lead single, when a song is that bad, the rest of it's gonna be worse. Trust me. Okay, trust me. When your lead
okay,
single is that whack, the rest of it ain't gonna be no better. Because the record company is saying,
well,
"Hey, this is our best song. Please buy this album based on the strength of this song." Okay?
okay. True life confession. In 2017, if I listen to "Come Do Me," terrible. Like it's not, it wouldn't have like driven me to buy the album back in the day. But if I listen to it now, it may be because I'm biased because I love Jizzle. But I mean, when I listen to that track now, I'm like, these, late '80s dance track. It's obviously driven by something that a label exec told him to do. I don't think it's horrible. That video is funny, super funny, but I don't hate it. And if you actually listen to the whole album, there's some tracks, maybe because I heard a reissue, but there's some Wu Tang like tracks like on there, Past the Bone, you know, that's a pretty good track in my opinion. But okay, Humble Beginners again. There you go.
Yeah, but and, I don't know if you heard my podcast I did with Danny Boone a few days ago. He and I we were talking about this exact issue, and my assertion was that once you're whack, you can't go back. Once you establish yourself as being a whack MC with a whack song, there's no coming back from it. And I think Jizza is the one exception to that because nobody heard that record. So so he was able to kind of escape whack MC purgatory because obviously he's not a whack MC. And he was able to escape it because that
Right.
song came out and nobody heard, nobody bought the record. So it becomes an afterthought. But if Come Do Me would have become a hit, then I think Jizza is never Wu Tang. Because I don't think Wu Tang would have let him in the crew, okay, if Come Do Me was a hit.
Well, okay, let me counter that
Mm-hmm.
because if you remember, RZA did the same thing. Oh, We Love You, Rakim. That was RZA's first track. He and Jizza kind of did the same thing. They both were, the victims of record label politics, and they were going with where the money was. They both did these party tracks, and Wu Tang would not be Wu Tang today if they hadn't done those tracks, if they hadn't done those albums, because they knew they had to go into a territory that was more true to them. If they had become popular off of those songs and off those albums, Wu Tang would not have existed ever. I don't think, because they would have been doomed. There's no way they could go from that into where they actually went with it. And you're right, nobody heard those albums, and that's why they were able to do it. But let's be happy that they didn't go anywhere, because let's be happy that they made them and they didn't get popular, because the best crew of all time. But it's not just Jizza, it's Riz as well. And in fact, I think ODB was part of that. I think a lot of people were doing that type of thing back then, trying to go where the money was in order to get to where they really wanted to be. So I don't fault them for that. I'm kind of glad they did it because again, wonderful music out of it.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I understand, man. Obviously, obviously, I've worked, around the fringes of the industry, man. So I do understand that to get anywhere in the entertainment industry, you got to sell a bit of your soul to get anywhere. I don't care who you are. Okay, It's just what percentage of your soul are you willing to sell off? And I think with obviously being a new artist, I guess that might have been his first big deal and everything. The record labels say, "Hey, we'll give you this money. You gotta make this record, but you gotta do this to get on." I get it. Okay, so maybe Jizza sold 10% of his soul to become what he is today. I can live with that. Like I said, and I stand by the assertion: if "Come Do Me" is a hit, you're not having this conversation about Jizza. Period. I don't think
That's
anyone.
true.
I don't think
That's true.
anyone would have given him a chance as an MC if um, if "Come Do Me" had become a hit. Um, Now, a great example of that, and I use this example a lot because once you're labeled as whack, you can't come back. MC Hammer is a great example of that, and I'll stand by it to this day. MC Hammer's first album, Let's Get It Started, was banging, banging. If Hammer would have stayed in that mode, he would be a legend. Cause that album was banging. Obviously, he was never a lyricist, but his brand of music, that Oakland funk, dance, rap, party type vibe that he had with Let's Get It Started, you could not touch. You could not go back then. You could not go to any club and not hear 4 or 5 Hammer songs. You couldn't. That was a staple. Whenever you went to the club, you're gonna bang Hammer. But obviously, when he did, obviously, Can't Touch This, that took him somewhere else. He was never going to be a dope MC, okay? But for what he did,
Right.
he was the best at it. But once he got famous and did You Can't Touch This, it totally killed any credibility that he had because Hammer had hella credibility before You Can't Touch This. He did. Not as a lyricist, but as a, a rapper who had a niche, who had a gimmick that worked and it didn't sell out hip hop. But once he did that, he couldn't come back from it, no matter what. Because Funky Headhunter was not a bad album. It wasn't.
Right.
If
Right.
if Funky Headhunter follows Let's Get It Started, Hammer's a legend. Okay? But
Yeah.
unfortunately, Funky Headhunter came, 2 or 3 albums after Let's Get It Started, and all the stuff that happened in between wrecked his career, and that's why Hammer is a joke today. So that's my
Okay.
assertion there.
I'm glad you mentioned Hammer. I had every intention of talking about Hammer because let me tell you, I love Hammer. To this day, I love Hammer. It's extremely important to hip hop, and I do not entertain hate from anybody coming at him about this because you're right. He started out with a complete style that everybody was into, and you know he dominated. He was awesome when he first came out, and then he became this little pop rapper or whatever, and then he wanted to go hard again later in his career, and it didn't work. So that's kind of a sad downfall there. But I look at it like this. Yeah, he kind of went in some weird directions that he shouldn't have gone into. But what he did do, and well, actually, it's kind of a gift and a curse. What he did do was he made it feasible for rappers to make money, to become big stars. The reason we even have this is the curse right here. This is the reason we have mumble rap today, because he made it possible where you can actually be seen in the mainstream by all kinds of people who actually would have never given rap a second look before. Album, go on your concerts, dancing to your music. He made that possible. He made it where rappers could make money. So if he had continued with his hard, sweet style, his the harder party style that he came out with, I don't think Hammer would be the person that he wouldn't have been. Yes, he would be a legend, but he probably would have stopped there. It is amazing. In fact, I think it is his best album. I listen to it to this day. I think that definitely is where he should have gone after his first album. He ended up going into these other directions, and guess what? Those other albums are not bad. They're kind of, they're mainstream party albums. He's got songs about saving the children and going to church, praying, and that's kind of who Hammer is, I guess. Uh, I don't think anything he's done has been like actually bad, and he's absolutely important to where we are in hip hop today. But he's important to hip hop in general. So hey, I don't hate on Hammer at all. I think you know I'm glad he was able to make the money. I'm glad he was able to help people he wanted to help. Get some good music out of it, and I still follow him today. Hey, I'm a Hammer fan.
Hey, and I'm with you on that. I do give props to Hammer. I never give him props as a lyricist. I didn't back then. I won't now. But
Right.
but there are different pockets of hip hop where you can still have credibility and not be considered whack. And Hammer just kind of bastardized that. But I will say this much now. Hammer was gangster. Have you seen
Yeah.
Redman's story?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so Hammer was not to be trifled with, and I think folks kind of knew that. Okay, so
Yeah.
Hammer, he obviously he's a footnote in history when it comes to cautionary tales, but also he's a footnote in history when it comes to um, getting the most out of your ability, and what he did for hip hop can't be minimized. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
all right, next on my list, I got to go with Nas. I know everybody says Nas, Nas, Nas. Anybody does a top five list, you got to throw Nas on there to the point where you want to take Nas off because you want to get the side eye because you say Nas. Everybody says Nas. Oh damn it, I'm saying Nas. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time on him because everybody knows that Illmatic is hip hop royalty. 5 mics on the source. Source gave him 5 mics. Deserved it. Um, um, it ain't hard to tell. It's one of my favorite hip hop cuts of all time. I still bang it to this day. The whole album is banging, and I will say this much: Nas, for all I think people are kind of on the fence about him in a lot of different ways. That's the whatever. I don't care. But one thing, there's a couple things you can't take away from Nas. Illmatic is probably the best solo hip hop album ever. Um, and the album cover, the Illmatic album cover, best album cover in the history of albums. Period.
Iconic.
Iconic. The best album cover ever devised in the history of the world. So for that, he's on my list. Thoughts?
Yes. So I'm glad you mentioned Nas because I was not going to. I have him here on the list as with an asterisk beside it because I didn't want to spend any time on him. But you kind of have to put him on the list because yes, absolutely, he's one of the gods. You can't really get past that. The greatest solo hip hop album ever. I'll let you have that. I don't know. One of them, absolutely. Um, uh, no, is probably his best track of all time. I don't think he's ever been able to do anything better than that. And with it being like the end of that album, ended the album with that, he could have not done another album. He would still be at the top because Illmatic is just perfect from top to bottom. He had a dynamic intro and a dynamic ending to that record. He was one of the first. I think he was the first actually. Like he was the one that kind of drove hip hop away from having the rapper and the producer, or the rapper and the DJ. He worked with different producers on that one record, and that one record for like a newcomer, he had Q-Tip, Large Professor, Pete Rock on that one album, his debut album, because they knew this guy is like the future. I don't think his legacy can really be doubted just on the strength of the Illmatic alone. He has some classics after that, and he's still doing it. I'm really looking forward to his next record that he keeps talking about. He's up there. Um, you can't have a conversation about hip hop without Nas.
Absolutely. And like I said, whoever did that album cover, man, you're God. So bless your heart.
Yeah.
Okay, next on your list.
All right. Well, so I'm looking at my list and I'm like, who should I talk about? Because there are just so many. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I know you told me once before you're not really a fan, but MS Doom, Doom, the villain. So this guy, to me, I really don't know if I can ever say that I have an absolute favorite rapper. To the end of my life, and I have to make this list, I feel like I'm going to be saying my favorite rapper of all time is Doom, because this guy is absolutely insane with music. Like his whole his flow, things that actually come out of his brain. I don't know how he does it. He's probably the only uh, who takes pop culture and street knowledge and like 5%er doctrine and things like that, and he puts them all into one pot. It makes this absolutely crazy concoction, and it's mind blowing. He has the, the tendency to rhyme nearly every word in every line. One line that has a certain number of words, a meter, and then the next line will rhyme every single word in that previous line, and it sounds absolutely logical. And it's like I can't think of anybody else who can rhyme like him. He's got he has a kind of an understated flow. He's not a big rapper. He's not somebody who's in your face. In fact, when you listen to anything that he does, you're underwhelmed. And I think that maybe that might be what has been with him. That when you first listen to him, you're not going to be blown away. He's not the kind of person who's like immediately amazing. And enough time with him, you have to see this guy right here. He's on. You talk about another level. He has a level of his own that is kind of off into a different galaxy. I said that similar thing with Jizza. They're not similar at all, but they're both kind of as far as like where everybody else is. You might have these MCs are here on Earth, and Doom is on another planet. But you bring him down to Earth, demolish everybody. I don't really know what to say. I have to say I'm in love with the guy as far as his skill and his flow, and he's an old head. He started out in KMD. I don't know if you remember KMD.
Yes, I do.
You remember he was on the gas face. Everybody knew about that. That guy's Zev Love X. From there, you probably wouldn't have guessed that this is the man who's going to go future and make what I think is one of the best albums of all time, Mad Villainy. If no one, listeners, if you've not heard Mad Villainy, I'll tell you, it is the best hip-hop album in the past. And it takes some time to get into. I remember when I first listened to that record, I was like, all right. 3 listens, I was like, okay. I don't know what I was thinking about before. So MS Doom. I think there are a lot of people like underground heads, who will completely agree with me. Some people don't know him. He's not a household name. He's not somebody that most people will even mention. But for me, on the day that I die, when you ask me this question, I'm probably going to say Doom.
That's a bold statement, man. I can't dispute it. I've listened to Doom, of course, and hey, I didn't start listening to Doom until you turned me on to him. So he's definitely he's definitely deserving to be on anybody's list, but he's not mainstream. Most folks, you say, "Hey, MF Doom," they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So I can't you know, give him top status because unfortunately, people gotta know that you exist for you to be considered the best. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can't come at folks and say, "Hey, Hami Hom is the best freestyle rap I've ever heard," and be like, "Who the fuck is Hami Hom?" You know,
Right.
you know. So
But he's a battler, though.
yeah, yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say, one of the best, freestyle battle artists I've ever heard is Hami Hom. But like I said, if I talk to Hami Hom about the people on Hami Hom, they're like, "Man, I don't know who you're talking about." So you can't really have that conversation. Same thing with MF Doom. Like I said, he has obviously he has a niche, but it's not a niche that a lot of people groove to. So, but much respect to your choice, though. All right, next on my list. All right, who do I have next? Oh man, now I'm gonna be controversial. I think I'm gonna be controversial with this next choice of mine.
Okay.
Okay, um, Ti Tip Harris, and I felt compelled to put a Southern rapper on my list because obviously I'm from the South. So it came down between Ludacris and Andre 3000 and Ti, and I chose Ti not only because I think he's a dope lyricist, but the fact that he's probably the most charismatic hip hop artist that I've ever seen. I love his charisma. He can Ti could read a book, and I'd be interested in hearing him read it. It's just something about he has this magnetic quality, and I think that's he has a magnetic quality. I think that was similar to Tupac, to where his charisma makes him better than maybe he actually is. But I've listened to a lot of his stuff, and his body of work might not be outstanding, but within this body of work, there's a lot of excellence. And when I need to listen to Southern hip hop or whatever, he's my go-to guy. So he makes my top five on basis of that alone. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Well, that is controversial. Uh, I will give props to Ti. I think he's pretty cool. I like him. And I was when he first came out, I was surprised that I actually liked him because he kind of has. I never have really liked his voice, but he does have charisma. Like you said, he is a very charismatic rapper. He has a lot of. He says things that you know you'd be like, I can't believe he said that on a record. He's really really clever, in my opinion. Um, you know, would I put him on? I would not put him on a top five list. I wouldn't. I don't know where I'll put him if I put him on a list at all. I can understand where you're coming from, absolutely. But to me, let's talk about the discography. Like his body of work is extremely spotty. So I don't really know what to say. I think he's decent. I would not put him high on any list. Like above, if you're talking about Southern rappers in general, I would not put him high on a list because I have. In fact, I'm going to mention one of them coming up. But each his own. I totally understand what you're saying. I don't feel him like that.
All right, hey, once again, teach his own. I knew it would be a controversial choice because I don't think Ti is going to be high on anybody's list of greatest hip hop artists of all time. But like I said, just the totality of who he is elevates him in my mind. And I will say this: I didn't say this before, but I think he's an excellent actor. He's one of the few hip hop artists I think if he just concentrated on acting, he could possibly win an Oscar at some point in his life. I think he could be, if it were not for all the other bullshit the stupid shit he did in his life, he could have been like Will Smith level type of a actor.
Huh.
I truly believe that. I've seen enough of him in movies to see that if he really focused on being an actor, he could be he could at least get nominated for an Oscar. Cause hey, if Queen Latifah can get nominated for an Oscar, damn it, he can. So that's what I feel. So, anyways, uh, much love to you.
Well, wait a minute though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Queen Latifah though.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Latifah though. I mean, it's Queen Latifah. I mean, hey, Dana Owens. You know, don't diss Queen Latifah.
I'm not dissing her, but I don't think she's a great actress. I mean,
You know, for what she does, you know, she's never in any kind of, you know, major dramatic roles. But you know, for what she does, she's all right.
I didn't say she was a bad actress. I just don't think she's a great actress. She's an actor. I mean, you know, she fits a bill. I mean, you know, if you need, you know, the fat authoritative, you know, you know, black actress in the movie, she's somebody you can go to, and she will earn her money, and you know, she will like she was. You know, I love Girls Trip. I've seen Girls Trip 3 times, man, but she's a weak spot in Girls Trip to me. I thought everybody else was great, and I think you know, she was only weak link in Girls Trip. But like I said, no knock on Queen, but I just I don't hold her in high regard as a as a top flight actress. And the fact that she got nominated for an Oscar, hey, she should be happy. All right, who's the next on your list?
All right, so I said I was going to do a Southern rapper next, and I'm going to do probably two of them right now. Where are we now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is this? I don't know. I don't know how many we've done.
You've done 3. I've done 3. So you got 2 more to go.
Okay. Well, I'm going to count 2 as one. Outkast, Big Boy, and Andre 3000. So when people make these lists, they put Andre up at the top of the list, sometimes number 1. And they discount Big Boy. But I think both of them are the best duo of all time, in my opinion.
Dude, ho. Wait a minute. Are you drunk?
Wait a minute.
Are you drinking? Are you drinking Mad Dog or Bull? What the fuck? Outkast is the greatest hip hop duo of all time. You serious?
Okay, so how do you defeat that?
You serious?
How do you defeat that? How do you defeat that?
Dude.
Maybe I'll reconsider. Tell me who you consider.
Run DMC. Damn it.
What?
Yes.
Wait. Okay.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
DMC, the greatest duo of all time?
Yes, the greatest rap duo of all time. Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Dude, it's not all about rhyme style and flow, okay? It's not all about that. It's about chemistry. It's about your impact, your cultural significance as well, along with your skill level. Okay? Run was an MC. Okay? Would make no doubt about it. Run would get in your ass, before he found God, of course. But Run could get in your ass with the best of them. I mean, like a cut below LL, but he can get in your ass. And for some reason, Darryl McDaniels don't get the kind of respect he deserved. DMC, he has some skills too. I don't know if you ever seen Run DMC live. I have. Okay, I saw that. Have you?
I have not.
I went to the Run's house tour. Okay, I caught him live. DMC, that dude is an MC. Cause in their set, dude, at least the set that I saw, dude started ripping. He said some stuff we never heard before. Okay, so don't let the smooth taste fool you. All right, Run and Darryl Mack together. I mean, their chemistry was off the charts together. Their charisma and the impact that they had on hip hop in general really can't be questioned. And I feel you on Outkast. Andre and Big Boy lyrically are probably the best duo ever. But when you look at totality of it, nah, nah, I can't get with you on that one.
Oh,
Sorry, but go ahead, man.
okay. So I do, I agree with you about Run DMC. I do. I mean, they're fantastic. Really debated. I didn't say that, but if I have to compare the two, okay. So me, I guess I am more of a fan of lyricism. I do kind of study words more, and I go more for how they make me think rather than the way they make me feel. But I, to me, Outkast are the greatest duo of all time because, um, and their overall, to me, they have charisma that really can't be beaten. You know, together, just the impact. And that's the reason people like clamor for them to this day. I saw them on their last tour, and there were so many people, so many different types of people, just everybody there, like real heads, ready to listen to them speak after all this time. I'm not comparing that to Run DMC. I've never seen them live. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that it's all the same. In fact, that. But um, if you take Run DMC and put them beside Outkast, um, hits. But I honestly don't think that they can be compared in the way you can say, well, definitely better than others. I feel Outkast more than Emcees. Just they've had more impact on me than maybe you know you know uh, Andre being kind of a person who's similar to me. I think in a lot of ways. I feel what he's saying on a number of levels. Always kind of had this sleepier flow, this more methodical, more cerebral approach to things. You know, he talks more about social issues, talks more about emotions and you know how a young black man will feel being surrounded by the things that he sees on a daily basis. Uh, got stopped at the mall the other day, heard a call from another way. It just came from niggas saying something, talking about, you know, you know from school? No, not really. They kept smiling like a clown, facial expression looking silly. Kept asking me, what kind of car do you drive? I know you paid. I know you got buku, whatever, from all the songs he already made. I replied that it didn't go on the same thing that he has. Fans and the average man, but not enough loot to last me to the end of the week. I live by the beat like you live check to check. If you don't move your feet, then I don't eat. We like neck to neck. We done come a long way like a slim and cigarettes from Virginia. This ain't gonna stop, so we just gonna continue. I know I messed it up a little bit, but I'm just like, to me, a verse like that, who can really top that? I mean, there's so much in that, and it's so relatable. And a lot of Outkast tracks are like that. They're just, it's hard to not feel that. Run DMC didn't really do that. We're not supposed to be talking about comparing these two. I don't know why I'm doing that. You did that. You made this happen. But anyway, Outkast, I say about Andre. Big Boy is just the same. He's more of the flashier player type, but he goes hard and he hits it like he reminds me of guys in Wu Tang really. Extremely lyrical, but in your face. And then Andre is the more laid back one, and they have such a charisma, such a chemistry together that you don't see that to this day. You won't see another duo like that. I don't think we will ever see a duo like that again in this life if hip hop still is. So for me, Outkast, as two people on a list, Um, they're, let's say, number four there. Tell you about Run MC. I know what you're saying about impact. And, I never said that, Run wasn't an MC. Absolutely. Outcast, the greatest duo of all time.
Hey, we have to beg to differ on that, but hey, I respect your opinion. But since you dropping verses and everything, man, um, uh, money is the key to end all your woes, your ups, your downs, your highs and your lows. Won't you tell me last time love bought your clothes? It's like that, and that's the way it is. Come on now. Now, of course, Andre's verse, the verse you dropped, is more complex, but you can't say. But what I just spat, is just as impactful. Saying the exact same thing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think a lot of people they they confuse, um, you know, verbal gymnastics with quality. There has it has to be context involved as well. Obviously, I trust me. I love a dope verse. I love a dope verse where you have metaphors and similes, and you're weaving words here and there, and you're making you making it into this tapestry. But sometimes, but a straightforward verse is just as impactful as something that's a tongue twister or whatever. Something that's deeper, that like I said before, there's levels to it. There's levels to it. I feel you on Outcast,
Yeah.
I do, but you know, opinions like an asshole. Everybody's got one, so I got one, you got one, so it is what it is, right?
All right. Well, yeah.
All right. Okay, next on my list. This might be controversial as well, but um, Chuck Diesel, Chuck D. He's next on my list of dopest MCs. Um, Before Wu Tang came along, Public Enemy was my favorite hip hop group of all time. I discovered Public Enemy with their first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show, and Chuck D's voice was something that just kind of resonated with me, made me want to listen to everything he had to say. His lyricism was strong and on point. Um, the things he had to say were just as dynamic, and the way that he said it made for a more impactful sound. Obviously, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. It's one of the greatest hip hop albums, greatest albums, period, which can't be denied. And and when you talk about spitting verses, Chuck could spit when he wanted to spit. Um, Bass in your face, not an 8 track, getting it good to the wood. So the people give me some of that. Rack to the facts of the kick when I spit. Stay around, port to the joint, put the Buddha down. Come on, come on. When Chuck had to do it, he did it. Um, I think Chuck gets a little bit diminished. I think Public Enemy gets a little bit diminished because of Flavor Flav. And um, to me, Flavor Flav was always a conundrum for me when it came to my love for Public Enemy, because you got these serious cats who talking about these serious issues and everything, and then you got this clown, and I kind of get the dynamic of it and why they went that way, but I think when you if you put it up, for display and analysis, I think Flavor Flav's inclusion in Public Enemy diminishes the overall impact, because especially Flavor Flav's life after Public Enemy really diminishes the impact of the group, and in turn it impacts the, I guess, the respect that Chuck D has along with it. What do you think?
All right. Um, Chuck D was the last one on my list too. Absolutely. Um, I mentioned. I'll get back to your actual point there, but I mentioned Ice Cube at the beginning here as the one who made me realize I love hip hop. He absolutely was up there too. In fact, both of them together. At some point, I did want to be a rapper. Um, amidst all the other things I still want to do in my life, I wanted to be a rapper. And Ice Cube and Chuck D made me want to do that. Probably probably not a more MC than Chuck D. His voice, uh, kind of the rumble of it that just hits you in the chest, you know, and then the words. Never He's never joking around. You know, some of the stuff he says can be somewhat humorous, but always has a reason for saying anything he says. He's a guy who does not speak. Uh, he doesn't speak just to speak. He doesn't rhyme for the sake of riddling. You know, uh, he's a man with a purpose. He's always had a purpose, and his purpose shows in everything that he does and all the music that he's ever made. Uh, um, and there's really no getting around that. Now, as far as Flavor Flav being the weak link, and I can see that, and it is kind of a conundrum. I totally get that. Some people once said that uh, uh, Joker, you gotta have the Joker amidst all the soldiers, um, and if you think about it that way, okay, I'm not really sure how necessary it is, but I think he's there for the purpose of being, a rebel in his own mind. You know, he's he's doing his own thing, and he's a free thinker in a lot of ways. Yeah, a lot of that thinking is, smoking crack, I guess, but it, he's not bound by what somebody tells him he needs to do. He makes some very questionable decisions in his personal life. Tracks that he's done with Public Enemy, just kind of like, okay, we didn't have to do that one, but I think he's necessary to the group. I because he's there and we've grown to know and like him. Um, you can't imagine a Public Enemy without Flavor Flav. I don't know if you're following what Chuck D's doing now. He has Prophets of Rage, the band with members of Rage Against the Machine and Be Real from Cypress Hill. I like what they're doing, but honestly, I think what's missing there is somebody like Flavor Flav. I think there's a certain energy that bounces off of Chuck and Flav that is kind of necessary in that music. So there's a conundrum there, but I kind of get it in a way. But anyway, Public Enemy, to me, the absolute greatest groups of all time. If I talk about crews, probably below Wu-Tang, number two for me. And I spoke to you about this before, but favorite Black Panther is my favorite Public Enemy record, and that's the one that I listened to first. It's the one that I added to. I'm younger than you, so I didn't hear Nation Million first. So maybe it's nostalgia for me, but I listened to favorite Black Panther. Yeah, that's the pinnacle. And in fact, Apocalypse 91 is probably my second favorite, because that came next, and you got Ant Trust on there, you got Reverse, you got Get the F Out of Dodge, you know, that's a brilliant record too. Huge fan, Public Enemy. I saw them live, and that was one of the best shows I've ever seen. I regularly wear my Public Enemy shirt just to show people, Public Enemy. Chuck D is amazing, and he's 57 and still doing it. I'm absolutely proud to say I'm a fan.
Okay, now I saw Public Enemy back in live back in '88. I think it was '88, maybe '87, '88, around that time, when they were on the Run House tour. They opened up for Run DMC. They actually Run's House tour. It was Run DMC, Public Enemy, Jazzy Jeff and the First Prince, and there might have been somebody else. But Public Enemy was the first act to go on back when the auditorium was still half empty. So So but they came a long way from that. But yeah, I feel you. I feel you on Chuck Diesel, and so I guess we definitely can agree on that. All right, we got one more to go. So who's your number one?
Well, it's Ice Cube, I said just, I said Doom. So again, I don't have a number list. And I'm gonna have to pull somebody out of my little cloud here. I'm trying to figure out, should I do this for the, or should I just do it? Hmm. I'll just do it because this is logical. I can, and I don't have to say anything else about it. He is the one who created Emcees, in my opinion. He's the one who showed you how to do it. He's the one who, if you want to see where it all started, if you want to know, if you want to learn how to rap, listen to Rakim. So what it was like to actually create your own style and your own image and your own energy, make the blueprint for what this is supposed to be, listen to Rakim. Because that guy, there's not really a whole lot that hasn't been said that I can say about him because I think it's pretty much established that he's the god. Their whole Eric B. and Rakim, their whole discography together is perhaps unmatched by anybody. Aside from Wu-Tang, I have to say it. but together, you can't top it. Right now, sitting on top of my desk, I have both Fallen Leader and I think I have Paid in Full right here too. Because these are albums that you have to go back to. That, again, my cat shows you how to do it. I don't have to say much about it. I think you probably agree.
Well, yeah, I do agree. I do agree. God, Rakim Allah. I mean, he's on a different level. So I really don't try to associate him with any list because he's so out there. Um, but yeah, I fully agree. And actually, he has a song on one of his albums, "How to MC." So he does tell you how to do it. but
Yeah.
but for me, I think you know who my number one is, right?
Yeah. And what else I like him, go for it.
My number one, Inspector Deck, without a doubt. I think he's the dopest MC to ever walk the face of the planet. Um, and I've had this conversation with folks before. I have this conversation with you, and folks look at me like I'm crazy. Hey, look crazy all you want. I got proof. I got proof to back it up. Now, here's my proof. Of course, Wu Tang is the greatest collection of hip hop MCs ever. It's like a dream team of hip hop MCs. You got obviously you got Jizza, Raekwon, Meth, Capadonna, Face, who we haven't even mentioned yet, Face, and of course RZA and Deck.
That's the killer. You got it. Dick.
You got it, of course, obviously. Um, my assertion that they are the greatest collection of MCs ever is really that really can't be challenged. But
Right.
the fact that on their dopest cuts, who has the dopest verse? That is the that is my measurement when it comes to Wu Tang. Generally, when I listen to a Wu Tang cut, I'd say probably 60% of the time, 70% of the time, the dopest the dopest verse, Deck. Can't nobody on the face of this planet ever come close to a bomb atomically Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses. Period. In my mind, can't nobody touch that. Nobody touch that. And usually on their dopest tracks, the first verse is who? Deck. 9 times out of 10, the dopest verse, the MC leading off the song is Deck. He's first out. He's first out the box for a reason. He sets the tone. Of course, I feel that the movement is my favorite hip hop solo hip hop album of all time. I just do it all the time. So and I will go to bat for for its validity as a top hip hop album. I know that nobody ever believes that, but that's their problem. Every track is top notch. I'll go to the grave with that one. Resident Patient, Uncontrolled Substance. Oh my God, he drops a verse on Uncontrolled Substance, man. That to this day still blows my mind. The substance provides continuous high. I give you one free for every 5 sides you buy. Getting high off my own supply, low in the ride with the low eye, day breaking, making dough rise. Dude, come on, come on, give me something, man. Give me something. Deck by far is the dopest MC to ever walk the face of this planet. Now I will, if I got to take the Pepsi challenge, I'll take the Pepsi challenge. If an alien comes down and says, "Hey, who's the greatest MC of all time?" I'm gonna say Deck. You need somebody to battle. It's gonna be LL, but dopest MC is gonna be Deck. If I'm on an island, I can only listen to one hip hop album. I'm listening to the movement. That's just me. I ain't saying I'm right. I ain't saying I'm wrong. I'm saying that's my assertion. Okay, go.
Okay, so you know I love Wu-Tang. And, I don't dispute that Deck is one of the greatest MCs of all time. What I will dispute, and I always do, is that he's the best. He's not, to me, he's not even the best in Wu-Tang. Now, is he one of them? He's on the list. I mean, if I had to, again, like I said, the best MCs who ever lived, there's 9 of them in the clan. Jack is obviously one of that. He's one of those. So, I don't dispute that he's, godly in that way. And he has a body of work that speaks for itself. But if I compare him to others in the clan, he's not there. I already told you, Jizza is my favorite. And then, I think, really, I like RZA a whole lot. And then Ghost and Myth. And, I'm not sure I really thought about that so much. But, I would not, no, I wouldn't put him, as, the greatest MC who ever walked the face of the earth. I know that was a bold statement that I made about Doom. Lots of people will be like, what are you talking about? In fact, who are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. And I think a lot of people say the same thing about Deck. If you were to go up to, your average, listener, or even, a person who considers themselves real hip-hop heads, they probably would be like, what are you talking about? In fact, when I said that statement about, the 9 MCs, the person laughed at me. And you're going to get that. Now, that doesn't discount anything at all because, we know the truth. But Deck has some skill. I can't deny that. The dude does jump off some of the best tracks, and you can't really dispute that Triumph is his best verse of all time. Anything better than what he did on Triumph. In fact, that verse is so amazing that you hear like pieces of it in other Wu-Tang tracks, like other guys using it, use parts of the Triumph verse for a chorus in one of his tracks, Control the Globe Slowly, The Bold Soldier. That was his chorus in the track. He does that a lot. In fact, a lot of them do that because there's so much, there's an artistry that you just have to bow down to it. You can't not acknowledge that. Kind of a shame that Deck does not get his due on a lot of discussions. If you want to talk about him, I watched an interview not too long ago where he was talking about how he's enjoyed his career, but it hasn't been especially lucrative for him. And I think he said he wanted to start doing real estate or something. Kind of made me sad because that guy should be filthy rich. it amazes me that you can actually be the best at your craft and not really gain any recognition at all. Um, in a perfect world, uh, Deck would be like the richest man on the planet. But to me, he'd be one of the so many others who I think deserve the title more. Uh, so again, I don't put him up there like that, like you do, but dispute it. Dak is one of the best of all time.
I mean, that's a perfect example, man, of art versus commerce, man. And commerce is undefeated when it comes to art versus commerce. Commerce is always going to win. I mean, but if you base excellence and success on material goods and money, yeah, of course, deck is at the bottom of the list, But thankfully, that's not what this discussion is all about. I mean, but like I said, the dopest verses on the dopest Wu Tang tracks usually belong to Deck. Usually, he kicks off their dopest songs. I mean, I pop off like a mobster boss. Ain't your hair with the lobster sauce? Dude can spit metaphors that just. I mean, I still shake my head at it. I still shake my head at it. The fact that his career has not been lucrative is irrelevant to me. You know, so he ain't
Well,
starving. Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that simply because you know I kind of think the fact that it hasn't been lucrative for him has made him you know and he has a skill that actually has been diminished a little bit. If you listen to some of his more recent verses, they don't really compare to what he's done in the past. I do think the fact that it hasn't been an especially career for him has made him kind of back off. He hasn't really spent a whole lot of time, you know, still crafting his verses, and that's the sad thing. I think that there are some people who are like, hey, I'm writing every day. He's like, I'm about to real estate. You know, I think that's why I mentioned that. It's not that I equate, money and fame with actual skill. Success is not really the measure here. But I mentioned that simply because it diminished him a little bit.
Yeah, but dude ain't starving, so don't get it twisted. He ain't starving, so he gonna be all right. He gonna be all right. Um, okay, so we've established who we think are the greatest hip hop MCs of all time. But I gotta say something, man. I gotta tell you I'm disappointed in your list for one particular reason, and one particular reason only.
Okay.
How can you
Okay.
ever compile a list of the dopest MCs to ever live and not include the Jackal? What's your problem?
Well, I think that's an understood. Uh, that's kind of a constant, right? I don't think I have to mention Jackal. In my heart and my mind, when I listen to Hellraiser, which I do on a regular basis, I mean, I feel like this is the cosmos of hip hop, and he's right there, he's the nucleus of it. I can't, why do I have to mention? Everybody knows.
Dude, I mean, who could put together a line like Cock Diesel, Weasel, artist with an easel? Come on.
Hey, Mick, who's more evil? I
Exactly.
mean, really.
Yeah. So, you know, I think the Jackal has carved out a niche in the hip hop world that can't, that's unmatched. And the fact that, his album with Triple Plastic says a lot. You know. You
Well,
know.
I mean, I guess when we talk about, lucrative careers, it does not equate to actual skill and legacy. So we won't worry about that. I mean, but bite you on the collar, you know, I, I can't get past it. It's the Jackal really.
Yeah.
He's
What?
big.
Bite you on the collar and make your ass motherfucking holler?
Jackal. Yeah. I mean, and it echoed like twice. We got it. What a line. If people haven't heard Black by the Jackal, it's on iTunes. So on Spotify, go listen because MCing is alive and well on that record.
Yeah, especially take your clothes off. So
Oh yeah. Oh man. So so fine making onion cry. Wow.
all right, man. Any any last words, man? Any last words? I know we talked about a lot today. So anything that you need to drill down a filter.
Well, I don't know what else that I could say other than what I've already said, but I do want to go ahead and just say the people on this list that I've written, and listeners can conversation about it if they want, or even talk to me about it because I'm a presence on the internet. So read it. Rakim, MF Doom, Jizza, Ice Cube, Ghostface, Method Man, Chuck D, Talib Kweli, Black Thought, Outkast, Gift of Gab, and Price. So people can discuss that if they like. Um, you know, I am a big fan of music in general, but I love hip hop. Hip hop is my first love as far as music goes, and it's probably the genre that I have studied the most in my life. And mumble rap kind of saddens me because I feel like people don't care about where they came from. A true art to this, and I really want to see it thrive. I don't want to get old and hip hop is not alive anymore because some of the best MCs that I love to this day are getting older. You know, we will life. You know, I can't believe I lived to see Fife pass. That is something I can't really. To this day, I can't fathom it. So, hip hop is alive and well in our hearts and in our ears. But the older guys are getting older, and they won't always be around. So I just hope future, when I'm like 92 years old, I hope that we'll see, this art form that we've loved all this time still living.
Well, very well said, and I can echo those sentiments. I think a lot of people kind of discredit the older rappers because they're old. I know it's a young man's game. I've never understood why hip hop is considered to be a young man's game, where the Rolling Stones can tour till they're 90 years old and still get respect. But if you're 50 years old trying to drop an album, hip hop album, folks look at you like you're crazy. I never understood that.
Right.
I still listen to it. I still roll my window down and let the system up. And hopefully, when I'm 70 years old, I'll still be listening to lyrics and spitting lyrics and banging tracks. I'll be that 80-year-old man driving around with the top down or with the windows down, basing. So
Yeah.
so hip hop is timeless. It's not going anywhere. It has come from the street to the boardroom, and everything in between. It all counts. Whether you're MC Hammer or Jizza or Spectre Deck, L. Who J, MF Doom, Everlast,
Exactly.
Eminem. Um, I mean, you name it. Juvenile. I mean, you can run down the list. Ghost, Scarface, Bushwick Bill, Willie D, Nelly. I mean, there's something for everybody. Something for
Yeah.
everybody. Young MC even. And on my
Young
podcast,
MC.
yeah, on my podcast with Danny Boone, I mentioned one particular moment that I saw Young MC live. I never had respect for him. I hated Buster Move, but dude, dude spat a freestyle, man, that was off the chain. I'm like, am I listening to the same guy? Young MC could spit. He really could spit. And why he never did it on record, I don't know. But that just goes to show you that there's a lot of layers to hip hop, and and the fact that you're in the game and you're trying to do something with it speaks volumes. And I got much respect for all hip hop artists because it takes a lot. Obviously, I used to be a hip hop artist. It takes a lot to get up on stage in front of a bunch of people and having to spit that stuff. It's hard. It's hard.
Yep.
It's hard to remember what you got to say. You got to move around. I mean, there's art to it. There's art to it. And
Absolutely.
I told Danny the story also. The first time I performed like in front of a large crowd, I actually opened up for I think I told you the story. Opened up for Ghetto Boys. As a matter of fact, in Houston, Texas, at the Palladium, and the place was packed out. Nobody was there to see me. So me and what's his name, Rico, get out there on stage, and we we did King of the Spot. I don't know if you ever heard that one. You ever played King of the Spot before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we did King of the
I don't
Spot
think so.
and I Get Loose. We did three songs: King of the Spot, I Get Loose, and Steadily Flowing. That was our three songs. We gave us about 15, 20 minutes to do our thing, to open up, to warm the crowd up, man. And it was my first time performing in front of a large crowd like that. I'd done like smaller venues, whatever, but it was a huge crowd that wasn't there to see me. They booing us and everything. And we went out there, man, and did King of the Spot. They weren't feeling King of the Spot too much, but then came my song, I Get Loose, and we'd actually changed the song up like the night before in rehearsals, and we didn't get a chance to lay down the track for the DAT, because back then we used DAT for our background music, and I was at my DJ Mo C. So what he told me was, because we actually changed it where we changed it up to where the bridge, we did it in reverse. He played the music backwards. So, and I didn't have time to learn it, so I had to actually count the measures before I jumped back into my verse. And we rehearsed it. I got it wrong every single time. I missed it every single time because as you perform, I had to count those measures so I I wouldn't obviously miss my cue. So we do the song. Well, obviously we're in concert, and the song is going fine, man. It comes to that point, man, where I gotta the song is playing in reverse. I gotta count those measures, man. Like I missed it every time, man. But in front of that crowd, I say it might have been maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. Um, I nailed it, man. I nailed it, and to this day, man, the highest high I've ever felt was that moment because I was scared, trying to get this crowd swaying. Nobody's there to see me, and I knew if I screwed this up, they're gonna boo us off the stage, and I nailed it. I nailed it. Greatest moment of my life when it comes to performing hip hop music. That's hip hop to me. That is the essence of hip hop to me. You can be some nondescript person that nobody's ever heard of before and have your moment. So.
Yeah, I have to say, I Get Loose. It's a classic, really. I'm not joking. I love it. And you gotta like remake it or something because I can understand how you could have like ripped that on a stage. Really. I totally feel you on that.
You know what? I haven't heard that song, man, in probably. I can't remember the last time I heard it. Probably 15 years. But I know I had it on tape somewhere, but that tape is long gone. So, and that was the only copy that I had of it, man. So so that song, that's a lost treasure that will never be heard again. And I don't even remember most of the songs.
Well,
so,
guess what? I have the tape. So
you got that tape? The black tape with the red lettering?
I have a copy of it. So it's good. No, I don't have your tape.
Oh,
I
okay.
copied it. I have a copy of it.
Of everything? You got Steadily Flowing and all that stuff too?
The goodie, pen and pad, I got all
that. Dude, you been holding out on me, man. I gotta get a copy of that, man. Won't you put it on? Won't you record it and send it to me? Put it on MP3.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, do that.
I didn't know you didn't have it.
No, do that today, man. I need that. That's hip hop
I don't
history,
know
son.
but yeah, I'll do it.
That is hip hop history, man. I gotta have that, man. I gotta have my kids hear that if nothing else, man.
Well, yeah, it's legacy. You gotta know.
Yeah.
They have to know this is what you did when you were younger, and it lives on. It has to live on through them. So.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of folks don't know that I had a record deal, made a record, made money doing it. I toured, briefly, performed in some live, venues. I actually, no lie, man, I think I told you this story as well. I met Jay-Z when he was still Sean Carter.
Yeah.
You remember Hawaiian Sophie? I think I told you the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'll tell it for the audience then. This was back during Hawaiian Sophie when he was with the Jazz, and Sean Carter, Jay Z. He was more of a gopher than anything else. Anyways, Jazz came to town, and we opened up for him, and and me and this kid Sean Carter, they were staying at some hotel or whatever, right? We whatever. We rode out to pick up like some liquor and stuff for the after party, and he rode with me. And I've told you a story, right? Have I? Anyways, it don't really matter.
Yeah, I've
Anyways,
heard it, but keep going.
so he told me he was a rapper and this and the third. Like whatever. So we rode out. That's when I had my black pickup truck. Rode out and picked up some drinks and everything, and then took it back to the hotel and everything, right? So he was just kind of just telling me what he was working on, this and the third. So later on that day, we go to sound check, and at sound check, um, he gets on stage and he spits the originators. You remember the originators?
Yes, I do.
Yes, he gets on stage, he spits the originators, and everybody was like, "What the fuck did we just hear?" We were like dumbfounded. That dude, why is he rolling with Jazz? Why isn't he doing his own thing or whatever? Um, but yeah, that's a true story, man. San Antonio, Texas, in the late '80s, early '90s, whenever it was that Hawaiian Sophie came out, around that time when he was rolling with Jazz, man. Yeah, Sean Carter, that was him. And a few years later, when Reasonable Doubt came out, I was like, that's that motherfucker from whatchamacallit, or whatever. The folks were like, yeah, right, whatever. So, Jay Z, if you're listening, that was me that was riding with you that day. Um, but that's hip hop, man. That's hip hop. But yeah, so I like to think that I have a place somewhere in the annals of hip hop. Albeit a small, you know, piece of the pie. I threw my hat in the ring, man. I tried it, and I got paid to do it, so I call that success. So I'm glad you got a
And
copy of.
that's fantastic.
So what?
That's fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you. And to know that you have a copy of "I Get Loose," that you've made my day. So yeah, I definitely like I said, I haven't heard that song in so long, man. And I can still remember making that song. The guy who produced it, this guy named Van, he was a fireman, and I had a manager back at the time, and she was trying to find me some guys to produce me, and she found this cat named Van. He's really good. You need to see him. So I went over to his house, and he was a fireman, so he used his money as a fireman to basically finance his career as a producer. So he had a lot of artists working with him and everything. So I go over to the house and everything, right? And he put that track together right there on the spot, and he was like, "You need to write something to this, man." So I wrote it real fast, man, and I stepped in the booth in front of everybody. It was like a bunch of folks there, and obviously folks, folks look at you like you're crazy. And he can't do nothing, he can't do nothing or whatever. So I wrote it down, man, and got in the booth, man, and spit it right there on the spot, man. Everybody's like, "Well, damn, dude, you got some skill or whatever." Like, whatever, man, whatever. I was in the military at the time, so I had a job. So, anyways, yeah, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun, being a hip hop artist when I was doing it. I always kept one foot in reality and realized that you gotta know your limitations. You gotta know your limitations as a person. You gotta know your limitations in life. And I knew my limitations. I knew that I would never be a top notch MC. It was more of a hobby, and it was a bucket list item. And I was just happy to get a chance to do it, and for people to actually take notice and give me some props for it and give me some money for it. Was like icing on the cake. So, anyways, all right, man. Anything else you want to add before we shut it down?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and promote us up a little bit.
Go ahead.
So, my name is Jake Wade. I am an artist. I have a website. I do a comic called Ninja James Roberts. There's one volume out that is available to purchase on Amazon, but you can go to ninjajamesroberts.com. Put it there, and a volume 2 is coming very, very soon. So please check that out. Also, I made a video game, y'all. So it's a game called Doomsday Clock. There's a game on my website, and it's a throwback to the 90s. It's like a 16-bit side scroller. but I put a lot of effort and energy into it. It's one of the games that I've wanted to make in my life, so you can call that a bucket list if you want. But I'd like for people to check that game out. Doomsday Clock. That is my game, y'all. So that's what I have to plug. So remember, ninjajamesroberts.com.
All right, great. And I tell you what, man, good idea. I think what we should do is we should do another podcast dedicated strictly to Ninja James Roberts and the stuff that you're working on. I think that'll be a great podcast that we can do as well. So let's make sure we make that happen in the very near future.
I would be happy to do that.
Absolutely. And also subscribe down low below, like, hit me up, Twitter, what Lonzo thinks, email whatlonzothinks@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe. Also, hit me up on Patreon, drop some loot on me. It's a very important resource for creatives like myself to kind of keep things going. So my Patreon page is up and running. So please, anyone who has dropped loot on me, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Let's keep it going. And once again, Jake, I appreciate you taking time out to speak with me today. The topic was the greatest MCs in the history of hip hop. I think we have a great list. We touched on some good issues about current rap, the industry itself, and how music continues to evolve. Once again, this is what Lonzo thinks. Bye.